9:30, son las 9:30 y muy buenos días. Muy buenos días, ¿cómo están ustedes? ¿Todo bien? ¿All good?
Bien,
Bien.
gracias.
¿Todo
Bien.
bien? Excelente, sí. A ver, entonces, vamos a practicar hoy con, ah, creo que vamos a practicar con dos cosas. I think we're going to be able to fit maybe two things in today. Vamos a practicar con tener los modismos. Hola, Nora. Los modismos con tener. The modismos are idioms. Modismos. Tener gets used in a lot of funny ways that to the English brain don't make sense. In many other languages, these would make perfect sense because there are other languages that do this same thing that Spanish does, French notably, and some others. There are some differences, but still. The tener idioms can be kind of a tough thing for those of us who speak English. And it's one of those things where you cannot translate. Yeah, not translating word for word because we would never use the word or the verb have with a lot of these words, but you just kind of have to get to know which phrases use these and which don't. And you also have to be able to pick out which ones are useful for me. Okay. And I'm going to even subdivide it further, depending on where you are in your journey with learning Spanish. With tener idioms, you can go, oh, I want a complete list of tener idioms. Well, okay, that's fine, and that's good. Sí, es bueno. But, you'll get some website that like, here are 47 idioms with tener. Are you seriously going to memorize 47 if you're like, super good doobie and you really can do that, great. But a lot of people have a tough time memorizing. So, when you see those, it's okay. It's okay to save a file like that or bookmark it. But I would say when you look at tener idioms rather than memorizing, we want to practice a lot of them and practice them so that when you hear it, you recognize it. And there are going to be some out of those 47 or however many there are. I mean, I can't even give you an exact number. There are that many of them. Some are, you may want to put it in a different category of these are useful if I hear them for listening comprehension. Some you may want to just be able to recognize, oh, this person is using this, but you may not need to verbally, in speaking, use it yourself yet. Okay, so you may want to kind of subdivide or branch out with those tener idioms and say, well, here are things I maybe want to recognize what they mean when I hear them, but you may not have to you may not have an urgent need to use all of them in speaking right away. So, vale. Bueno, vamos a ver un poquito aquí. We're going to take a look at this a little bit just to see if you had any questions. Here was the video that we had with you with Brenda, el video con Brenda. La Argentina, and she does not have that strong kind of Argentine accent because she comes from a different region of Argentina. El video de tener, where she gave you lots and lots of examples of tener idioms, and a lot of them are very obvious, but here's the one that is super obvious. Tener años, have years. This illustrates why we cannot translate these word for word. Nobody in English says have years. Okay. But in many other languages, this is the way of expressing that somebody is of a certain age. And so you just have to think of it as this is the pattern. All right. Tener un número, you've always got a number next after that, y años. to have years. Okay. And make sure it comes out as años. See? La ñ, that ñ is important because the word anos is anuses. Not what you want to be talking about. So años, make sure they got the años sound. And, you know, we have a certain number of years. And when you get the little, you know, Spanish speaking grandma, like a lot of times they'll make this mistake in English. They'll carry it over and say, oh, I have 60 some years. And they'll express that in speaking in English because they're thinking in Spanish, and that's just what is used. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Any question about Brenda's video before we go into our practice with tener idioms? Because I am going to send you into some smaller groups for that. We'll do the first one together. No, es obvio. I think that one is kind of an obvious video. Pero vamos a practicar con modismos que usan tener. Bien, bien, bien. Voy a engrandecer. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. If you want to pull up this file, you can, but you don't have to. This has our prompts in them. And this just reminds you of what the forms are. So, you know, in general, por lo general, aquí tenemos las formas de tener. Here, aquí en presente, in present tense. These are the ways that they'll get conjugated. The one you are probably not going to use is that tenéis, the one underneath tenemos, because that's the vosotros form, which if you're in Spain, they use it all the time to say you guys, but no place else in the Spanish-speaking world will they use that. So you probably don't need to know the tenéis, but the other ones you do need to be able to use. Tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tienen. See? Bien. And the thing to know is that there is no reason for using this. Sometimes I get students who say, well, why do they? I can't tell you why they do this. They just use certain expressions with tener. It's just the way it is. Whether that came from Latin or something else, I can't really tell you, but it's just what they do. So we're going to spend our time recognizing how they use these. And here are the first four. We're going to do, vamos a practicar con número uno, con el grupo entero, with the whole group, ¿sí? Con el grupo entero. Vamos a practicar con número uno, todos juntos. All together, we're going to do number one. And then I'll send you off into smaller groups. It'll be like 2-3 people so that you get more speaking time rather than being in the big group. And our point is to use these. The more you use them, the more you hear them, the more natural it will be to use it. ¿Qué haces? What do you do? ¿Qué haces cuando tienes calor? Aquí tenemos calor en Arizona casi todos los días. Bueno, diciembre, enero, no. Pero los otros meses del año casi siempre sí tenemos calor. ¿Qué haces cuando tienes calor? Un ejemplo. Bueno, Lori.
Oh, Lori.
Cuando tengo calor, me ducho en agua fresca o voy a la piscina.
Bien, me ducho. I take a shower. Me ducho. Sí, bien. Perfecto. Bueno, Liza, you have something.
Well, cuando tengo calor, yo enciendo el aire acondicionado.
Acondicionado. You've got the hard word to this morning. It is, boy, para un lunes for a Monday, sí, es una palabra difícil. Acondicionado. Aire acondicionado. No decimos AC como en inglés. AC,
Sí, yeah.
air conditioning. Sí, es aire acondicionado.
Aire acondicionado.
Okay, bien. So let's do that one more time. And you know what? Este error, this error is nothing to be embarrassed about. This word, esta palabra, because
Okay.
our English brains want to say condition so badly. It's very difficult to boot out that sound. Unless you're somebody from Argentina, shh doesn't exist. Yeah. Only the Argentines use the sound shh. Acondición, acondicionado,
Condicionado.
Condition.
acondicionado, acondicionado.
Condicionado.
Eso, sí. Okay. So that is one of those words, and y voy a escribir acondicionado aquí. Acondicionada. How do we work with these when they're, first of all, a ridiculously long word? And secondly, one that is really, really tough to pronounce because our English starts to bleed in here. The way I suggest you tackle a really long word is to break it up into parts.
Acondicionado.
Yeah, and this one, I would isolate that sion sound. Acondicionado. Really, you could break it into more than that, but acon is not the hard part. That first, the way the word leads off is not difficult. Acondicionado. Sionado. Yeah.
Acondicionado.
Acondicionado. I'm trying to highlight the part that's hard. Here's the syllable, and look at how many syllables. Wow. Acondicionado. And actually, there are more syllables than that, but acondicionado. No es acondicionado. We want to say shun. Acondicionado. No. Acondicionado. Acondicionado. When you get a long word like that, break it down into parts. And break apart the part that starts to bleed out into English, where your English starts to pop out, and it shouldn't, and really focus on just that syllable. So just that syllable is not shun, it's sion. 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 Acondicionada. Bien.
Acondicionado.
Perfecto. Perfecto. Acondicionado. And you may need to say that a few times to get it out, but that's a great response. Okay, so we had a little pronunciation practice with our practice response. Hay otra idea aquí con qué haces cuando tienes calor.
Sí. Una sentence. ¿Cómo se dice sentence?
Frase.
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 Ok. Me pongo más ropa.
Más ropa.
Sí.
O menos ropa.
If I'm cold.
No,
calor.
Calor es lo opuesto.
Menos ropa.
Sí, menos ropa. Ok, vale. Me pongo, I put on, me pongo menos ropa. Me pongo menos ropa. No me pongo una camisa con manga larga. Cuando tengo calor, no pongo camisa con manga larga with a long sleeve. Manga. Sí, la parte de la camisa, esta parte de la camisa es la manga. Es la manga. Y es manga larga. Vale. Bueno. Sí. Y en español decimos I have heat. calor no es hot, es heat. Heat. Así es. Ok, vale. Hay otra idea aquí. Ok, ¿no? Sí. Bien. Ah, bueno, sí, Rita.
It's easy. Cuando tengo calor, yo voy a nadar.
Voy a nadar. I go swimming. Sí, bien. Nado, I swim. Practico natación, I swim. También practico natación. I practice swimming como deporte. Sí, eso es. Uso la piscina. Me meto en la piscina. I get in the pool. Sí, bien. Ok, vale. Bueno, en los grupos pequeños, in your smaller groups now, you see how this works. Well, I'm going to send you out and you're going to work on the last three of these in your smaller groups. And we're going to be working on tener años, being a certain age. And if you don't have kids, offspring, talk about a grandkid or partner or whoever. Yeah, quien sea, whoever it may be, somebody else. You're going to be talking about somebody, not you, somebody other than yourself, so that you don't use just the yo form, right? Okay. ¿Cuántos años tiene el jubilado típico? How old is the typical retiree? Ok, vale, sí. ¿Y cuántos años tiene una persona que aprenda a manejar un carro? How old is a person who's learning to drive? Yeah. So we're using a lot of tener años. El énfasis, the emphasis here is that tener años. Es muy común. It's a really common tener idiom. We're going to send you off to work in smaller groups. When you're done, we'll come back, and anything you had difficulty with or struggled with or you weren't quite sure about, you'll have an opportunity to ask when you come back to the big group. Okay, see? A ver. And you will see that little list of questions when you go into your breakout rooms. I will send it off to your rooms. A ver, momentito. I need to set up my little separate rooms here. A ver. Ooh. Ver. Bien. Okay. So you're all going to have 2 or 3 people in your groups. Depends a little bit. See, bien, and you'll see you'll see a join button. You're going to want to hit your join button to get into those rooms. And I'm going to send the list of questions out there. Ahorita, right now. And I need to set my alarm. I think we're going to set people up. Ooh, okay. Okay, she's got Nora. Bien. I want to make sure if we've got enough people. And Marilyn, if you want to practice with me, you can. Or you can just kind of hang out there, whichever you prefer to do. But we're going to give people, I think, about 7 minutes, maybe 8 minutes to work these. Okay. Give it just a couple more minutes. Last session, I kept it strictly to 5 and had some folks telling me, oop, not enough. So we're going to give people about 2-3 more minutes just to finish up. I suspect we have a couple little questions on how to phrase certain things. There's one thing I want to bring up when we come back. The thing I want to bring up is going to be sometimes we don't know an exact age and we want to say about. And how do we express that idea of about with age? What would be a typical way to phrase that? So I want to make sure we can cover that idea when we return. Y creo que ahorita I'll give a little message here. Okay. Now we got the countdown. People have 1 minute to finish up. And come on back. Okay, bien. Aquí vienen. Here comes everybody. And I'm going to stop the share for a minute so that I can see everybody coming back in. Okay. Once we get everybody back in, we'll do a little follow-up and see what kind of questions you might have had. If you had a little hitch in some answers or didn't quite know how to express something that you wanted to say. And I've got one idea that comes up sometimes, but you may have others. So, okay. Aquí vienen más. Here come more folks. Vale, bueno. Estamos todos juntos. We're all together again. Okay. Bueno. We want to use this time to say, was there any great answer that you'd like to share? Was there any question about, I wanted to say a certain idea, but I didn't know quite how to express it? Anything where you had a hitch? See,
on number 2, the way I worded it, and hopefully it made sense, is I said, yo no tengo hijos o nietos, pero mi hermano tiene 75 años.
Ah, perfecto. Sí. Eso sí. No tengo. Momentito. We don't want to shout at people with caps. No tengo. I don't have kids or grandkids. No tengo. Here. Now I am going to use caps. Ni hijos, ni nietos.
¿Por qué usa ni?
Ni.
So,
Ni.
why can't you just say no tengo nietos o
Sí, puedes decir no tengo nietos.
Mhm.
I have neither one. You can't say no tengo hijos, no tengo nietos. Sí, eso, sí, perfecto. Bien. Will you be understood? Absolutamente sí, sí, claro. Okay. Pero when you really mean neither nor, this is a useful little thing to know. Okay. Doesn't mean you can't say no tengo hijos. Well, the o there really doesn't make that much sense. The ni does. Neither nor. I don't have this. I don't have this either, right? You're combining those two. And when we do that, when you mean neither nor, or neither nor, depending on how you pronounce that in English, right? Ni. And every 15-year-old I taught loved that word ni. They love the sound of that ni. And they almost always remembered it after that. See, when you're saying no to two things, yeah, neither nor, right? So ni. No tengo ni hijos ni nietos, pero tengo un hermano, but I have a brother. Tiene, and then the number, right? He has a certain number of years. Okay. Vale, perfecto. Okay. Hay otra pregunta. I have one I want to bring up later, but I want to see what yours are first.
So we were talking in number 3
Sí.
About translating it to say the typical retirement age. So a different form of jubilado. So, but didn't know what it was and whether it was a conjugation of that term.
Okay. So is there a way to say retirement age? Do I have the question right? See? Instead of retiree?
Yes.
Sí.
El típico retirement.
Okay, let's look at the word for age. La edad. Age. La edad. And we want to say the typical age. La edad típica. La edad típica. The typical age. La edad típica de un jubilado. Or you might say la edad típica de jubilación. So, la edad típica de jubilación, typical retirement age. Jubilación es retirement. So, jubilado, or for a woman, jubilada, would be retired person. Okay. El jubilado, retired guy. La jubilada, retired lady. Eso. Bien. Retirement es jubilación. So it's the same basic form. It's got a different ending. We call those little endings suffixes. They're little hangnails that we tag onto the end of a word to change it into a different form. Jubilación. La edad típica de jubilación es como 65, 70. ¿Sí? Bien. Okay.
Marilyn, is there a word for typically? Like when you would say like typically.
Típicamente. Sí, típicamente. This is a good mini lesson. Yeah. Típico is typical. If we want to turn it into typically, the way we do that is to make that a típica and add a mente onto the back.
Okay.
The mente is equal to that ly. Again, it's a suffix. It's the little hangnail things we tag onto the end of the word to change their function. Yeah. Típicamente. Entonces, típicamente la edad de jubilación, típicamente la edad de jubilación es como 65 o entre 75 y 60 o entre 65 y 68, algo así, ¿sí? The question I thought I was going to get, and maybe you had it, but we didn't get to it yet, is how do we say that idea of about? What if you want to say about 65? And you mean it might be a little less than 65, it might be, we say that a lot. She's about 15, he's about 70, yeah. Okay. How do we express that idea of about in Spanish? And we express about in different ways. When we're talking about age, en el contexto de la edad, in the context of age, about might be expressed two different ways. It might be using the word unos, which unos means some, literally. Tiene unos 75 años. He's about 65. Tiene unos 65 años. Another way we might say about, because there's more than one way to say that in Spanish, would be to use the longer term, but useful. It might be unos. It might also be this. Más o menos. Más o menos, more or less. And that one is an easy concept because we have the same expression in English, more or less, más o menos, and that we can translate literally. Él tiene más o menos 65 años. Tiene más o menos 70 años. Tiene más o menos 40 años. Así, like that. So to say about with an age, we can use más o menos or unos. Sí, Cindy.
What I've always used sobre as about. How does that?
We can use sobre to say about. We will not use that to say about with an age. El contexto es importante. This is where dictionaries kind of fail us unless you look at unless you have a dictionary that shows you examples in context. Sobre means about when you're talking about location or esta película es sobre perdón, momento. Barbie es una película sobre las normas del género. Barbie is a movie about gender norms. O, por ejemplo, ¿cuál es? Oppenheimer es una película sobre la bomba atómica, ¿sí?
Yo entiendo. Gracias.
Sí, es una película sobre el inventor de la bomba atómica. So sobre is about when we're talking about a topic, yeah. Or when es sobre la mesa, hay un mantel sobre la mesa. There is a tablecloth covering the table. Sobre has different uses, but it won't be about to say she's about 20. He's about 30. Yeah. For that, we have to use a different combination of words. Sí, Cindy.
Sí, una pregunta más.
Está bien.
On my phone, under the dictionary, it came up with acerca de.
Acerca de, sí, acerca de can be around. Yeah. Yeah, sí, es posible. That's possible too. Yeah. Often there's more than one way to say something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Bien. Bueno, hay más preguntas. ¿Hay más preguntas? ¿Sí o no? No? No other questions about these little? Did that most of that make sense? ¿Sí? Tener, and we always have a number associated with this particular phrase, yeah. Tener número años. Bien, vale. Bueno, adelante. Forward, 4 más, 4 more. Okay, let's do the first one together. Todos juntos. And you'll take the next 3 off in your groups. And this is one that you heard in the mystery, the blindfold test video. This one she used in the blindfolded taste test video. Yeah. Oh, tengo miedo. I'm scared. Tengo miedo. There are actually lots of ways to say you're scared of Spanish. I don't know if it says something about culture or not. Well, we have more than one way too. I'm afraid, I'm scared, I'm petrified of. Some of them indicated intensity, right? Tener miedo. Miedo es fear. In Spanish, you have fear of something. ¿Sí? Tener miedo. ¿Tienes miedo a algún insecto o algún animal? ¿Y cuál? Which one? Yo tengo miedo a las arañas. Arañas con 8 patas, those 8-legged. Yo tengo mucho miedo. I'm very scared is going to have to say I have much fear. Mucho miedo. Tengo mucho miedo a las arañas. Spiders. ¿Qué? Bueno, Lori.
Tengo miedo de los palo verde escarabajos. Hay tan grande y pueden volar.
Sí, escarabajos. Escarabajos. Escarabajos son beetles.
Yeah, the
Sí.
palo verde beetle. So do you still leave the word? Like, is it still palo verde beetle or?
Me imagino que sí. Es posible que hay otro término. When you get into a really specific scientific name for something, there may be some of these that I don't really know, and it may be different names in different places, but sí. So you go with what's the most obvious. Yeah. Sí,
Okay.
eso. Porque vuelan, because they fly. Porque vuelan. Guy. Okay. Vale. Otra idea. ¿Tienes miedo? Bueno, ignora. Cindy ignora. ¿Sí? Bien.
Go ahead, Nora.
Tengo miedo a los escorpiones.
Oh, okay. Sí. Bueno, a ver, sí. Scorpions, there are a couple different words, but I think maybe the most common you may hear from around here. Alacrán.
Alacrán.
Alacrán. Sí, a ver. Creo que hay otro término. I think there are a couple. Oh, sí, escorpión. Well, that's easier to remember, but alacrán. Escorpión. Escorpión, sí. Que es
Why
casi
is
como
that
en inglés, pero
singular?
alacrán.
Why is that singular?
Perdón, why is it?
Singular. Scorpions rather than scorpion.
Escorpiones, plural, escorpiones. Yeah.
But is alacrán always singular?
No. Alacranes. Alacranes. When it's plural, it loses the accent mark. Alacranes. There's a reason for that. Ahorita no es importante. The reason it loses the accent isn't a big deal for you right now. It doesn't really matter. Pero sí, alacranes. Tengo miedo a los alacranes. Sí. Ok. Sí. Las criaturas o las criaturas de 8 patas, the 8-legged guys. Ok. Otra idea. Sí, Cindy.
Tengo mucho miedo a las serpientes.
Sí, las serpientes. Tengo mucho miedo a las serpientes. Sí, serpientes. Serpientes. Y son peligrosas, ¿no? Todas no son peligrosas, pero las serpientes venenosas, the venomous ones, ¿sí?
Yeah.
Las serpientes venenosas, sí. Es buena idea tener miedo hasta cierto punto, up to a certain point. Hasta cierto punto de serpientes, ¿sí?
Para mí, todo.
Para ti, todas, ¿sí?
Todas.
Hay algunas serpientes que viven aquí que no son venenosas y esas serpientes no me importan. No tengo miedo de esas, pero las venenosas sí. Bien. Hay que tener cuidado. Hay que tener cuidado. Hay que tener cuidado. A ver. Hay que tener cuidado. You have to be careful. Hay que tener cuidado con las serpientes aquí. Hay que tener cuidado. You gotta have care. ¿Sí? Hay que tener cuidado con las serpientes que son venenosas, aquí en Arizona. Vale, bueno.
In spring. Spring.
Especialmente en la primavera. Sí, en la primavera las serpientes tienen hambre
Alleys.
y están enojadas, ¿sí? Y hay que tener mucho cuidado, sí. En la primavera, en la primavera, ¿sí? Ellos aparecen de su hibernación, de appear from their hibernation, ¿sí? Y tienen hambre y no están contentas. They are not happy critters then. Ok, vale. Bueno, ok. Ustedes van a practicar con las 3 aquí, 6, 7, 8. ¿Cuándo tienes prisa? When are you in a hurry? And this really doesn't translate. You have hurriedness. No. When are you in a rush? When do you hustle? When are you in a hurry? In a hurry. ¿Cuándo tienes prisa? En tu familia, ¿quién tiene mucho cuidado cuando maneja? In your family, who is careful when they drive? Who is a careful driver? See? Y 8, ¿qué tienes que hacer? What do you have to do? And this have to do, esto sí es importante. Tener que and another verb. And this hacer is generic in this question. That means you're probably going to take the hacer out and plug in a totally different verb, right? Tengo que lavar la ropa. Tengo que ir a mi oficina. I have to go to my office. Tengo que trabajar con mi colega. I have to work with my coworker, with my colleague. Tengo que arreglar algo. I have to fix something. See? So you're probably going to take hacer out and plug in a totally different kind of verb. It's going to stay in an infinitive form. ¿Qué tienes que hacer después de la clase de español? What do you have to do after Spanish class? So these are the ones you're going to be practiced with. Tener que, have to, meaning obligation. Tener cuidado, be careful about something. Tener prisa, to be in a hurry. Those are the ones. Sí, pregunta, Lori.
Sí, so when it's tener with like miedo, prisa, the gender ending doesn't matter on that second word. Like it's always miedo, it's never mieda.
Oh, sí, buena
prisa.
pregunta. Does that word miedo ever change? No, it always stays the same. And prisa always stays prisa. It'll never go plural. It'll never change to an o. It's always prisa. All these words, miedo, prisa, cuidado. Well, this one isn't. All these are nouns. They're actually nouns. Cuidado means care, carefulness. Yeah, which we wouldn't use it that way in English at all. That's why these aren't translatable. But it'll always be cuidado. It'll never become cuidada. It'll never become cuidados. Plural. No. It's always that. Okay. So what now? Something that may happen before you go off into practice, you may want to, this may be something you may use. If I want to say very careful, notice it has to be mucho cuidado. All these words will use either mucho or mucha. When will it be mucha? When it's a word like prisa. That noun, if I want to say in a big hurry, yeah, that will become mucha because prisa is a feminine noun. Oh, if you want to say very scared, miedo is a masculine word. So we can't use mucha. It'll be mucho, miedo, right? So the way you add the idea of very, like the way you intensify it, is to use either the word mucho or the word mucha. And what determines that is the gender of this thing, which is a noun. Yeah. Whoops. Miedo, miedo needs mucho. Prisa needs mucha. Cuidado needs mucho. Okay, a ver. Here, you'd say very. So that one's out of that pattern. Okay, bien? Vale. Bueno, okay. Ustedes van a practicar. Was that enough time I gave you last session? Sí.
Yeah.
Vale. Okay. Suficiente. Es suficiente. Okay. You're going to have to, again, you'll get the list of sentences in your little share screen here. Bien. Okay.
Didn't get a breakout room, or I didn't press it fast enough, so.
Oh, okay. Momentito. Let's see if I can fix that.
Okay.
Da, 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 da. Okay. Don't press it yet. Don't press it yet because I have to do a workaround to make this work.
You'll tell
Now
me
you
when.
should, I think, get a button.
Okay, I can press it now.
I think so. Sí.
Okay.
Creo que sí. Perfecto. Okay. Vamos a ver. We'll see what kind of questions people have with these. We'll probably give everybody the high sign to come on back in about 1 minute. Okay. Vale, bueno. Bien, aquí vienen más. Okay. Un poquito más fácil, a little bit easier as you do the second round. Esto no, okay. Son preguntas más difíciles. These are a little bit harder questions, ¿sí? ¿Sí?
Sí.
Hay más información. There's more information. Sí. We'll maybe have to ask some questions to see about that. So a lot of times when we have a little bit harder questions, although these are kind of typical conversational questions, you know, our problem is it instead of just, you know, noun, verb, there are other ideas you want to add on, and it's that adding on, you know, breaking things down into little manageable chunks when you add on that can become difficult. So, okay. A ver, we want to take this time as follow up to talk about where you thought you had a great answer, where you thought you had difficulty, anything you need to bring up on these three here. Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? What kind of questions did you have on any of these?
Well, Marilyn, if I might say so, I in which one was that? I believe it's number 7.
Sí, sí.
I put soy mucho instead of there was a question that came up. I shouldn't use soy. I should have used something else.
Okay. Buena pregunta. Okay. In your family, who is really careful? And you probably don't want to say yo soy.
I just said,
Pues, You could, if you answer with only a phrase and you want to say I am, es posible decir yo soy.
oh,
Pero,
okay.
but to practice that tener idiom, which was kind of the point here, ¿cómo se dice I'm careful? And then we have to get rid of the soy if you say I'm careful.
Okay,
Yo tengo cuidado.
Tengo cuidado.
okay, yo tengo.
¿Sí? Tengo cuidado. ¿Sí?
All right.
You could. Now, es posible. It would be, you know, a lot of times we answer in kind of broken up phrase, little fragments. You know, we answer questions in fragments in English, and they do the same thing in Spanish. Who's a careful driver? And you want to say, I am.
Right.
And if all you say is I am, soy yo. Soy yo.
I see. So,
Why is it that? I can't give you a reason. Why isn't it yo soy? It's not yo soy because if you're answering in a fragment, yeah, by saying I am, the emphasis is I want to punch the idea that it's me. Yeah. Soy yo.
Soy yo.
That's all I can tell you. Soy yo. It's me. It's me. Okay. And that would just be typically the way it would be phrased. So you might just answer that way. But if you want to answer using that tener idiom, yeah, and working it, now you got to make it a yo form. Yeah. Tengo cuidado. Tengo cuidado. Tengo mucho cuidado.
Tango,
Okay.
mucho.
Question. I have a question. Can you just say yo tango if you answer?
You can't say yo tengo, but typically people are going to drop the word yo. Tengo cuidado. Yo tengo cuidado. I am careful if it, okay. ¿Por qué se usa yo? When do we use yo? We use yo when we really want to emphasize. So in English, if you would punch that word I am, if you would punch that a little bit in English, that's an appropriate place to insert yo.
Okay.
Typically, you do need to know that, oh yeah, all certain verbs go with yo. Tengo goes with yo. But one very typical thing that Spanish speakers do is they drop those subject pronouns a lot. They get rid of them. They toss them. You need to know them for grammatically that they exist, that they're a subject pronoun. They talk about who does the action. Yeah. But typically we leave it out. Now, if your intention is to say, oh, I am, and you do that with your voice in English, then it's appropriate to put in a yo.
Okay, great.
Otherwise, we often throw away the word yo. Overusing yo, tú, nosotros, overusing it in Spanish is kind of a flag for gringo. And why? And it doesn't mean people are going to make fun of you, but what it does mean is that typically in their language, they will only use that if they really want to make an emphatic statement. Bien? Okay. Buenas preguntas. Good questions. En mi familia, mi esposo tiene mucho cuidado cuando maneja. Sí, él maneja muy bien, siempre de manera perfecta. Mi esposo es buen conductor. My husband is a good driver. ¿Sí? Y qué sorpresa, mis hijos. ¡Qué sorpresa! Mis hijos tienen cuidado cuando manejan. ¡Wow! Mis hijos, sí. Tienen cuidado cuando manejan. A ver, bueno, otra pregunta. Any other question about all of these? Here is where I thought maybe you guys may have some questions. This little structure here.
Marilyn?
Sí.
We were on number 6. We were kind of wondering about the word order. So for instance, when it asks, when are you in a hurry? Tengo prisa cuando llego tarde una cita. I wasn't sure where cuando.
Sí, muy bien. Tengo prisa cuando llego tarde a una cita, when I get to an appointment late. Yeah. Sí, eso, sí, perfecto. You'll probably have to lead off with this. Tengo prisa cuando. I'm in a hurry when. You wouldn't, no es flexible. When I get to an appointment late, I'm in it. Well, yeah, you may, but yeah. No es tan flexible. You'll probably lead off with that just because you're, yeah. Okay, vale. Otra pregunta. This tener que, does that make sense to you? Tengo que? No, okay, bien. Tener que. There are a few different ways that you use tener que, or that. No, perdón. Otra vez. The point here is obligation. Ooh, obligation. It's have to. Okay. That is the reason for using the tener que. This is one of the most important tener idioms that is out there. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on this. Tener que is one of the most important things you can learn to use because often we want to say have to. I have to leave. Yeah, because you want to emphasize to somebody that we need to leave on time, right? I have to leave. I have to do this. I have to work. I have to go. I have to get there at a certain time. Okay, muy importante. This tener que is a very important and a very personalized obligation phrase. And I say that personalized because when we conjugate that verb tener, it means I'm putting the onus, I'm putting the responsibility on a specific person by conjugating that tener idiom. You might say, who cares? But here's the thing. In Hispanic culture, often it is seen as very direct to put that as a conjugated verb. If you want to just say, well, you have to get here at 8, and you just mean all of you in general. Yeah. There's a less direct way of doing that, but this is very direct and it puts responsibility on somebody. So, ¿qué tienes que hacer? What do you have to do?
Question?
Sí, Lori.
So what if you want to kind of make a statement that, no, I don't have to do that, like, no tengo que limpiar mi habitación.
Sí, negativo, making it negative means I don't have to do it. No tengo que hacer nada. I don't have to do nothing. Literally. Yeah. No tengo que hacer nada. See? No tengo que hacer nada. I don't have to do anything. See? That makes it negative. Pero. What happens is this verb, we pull that out and we plug in whatever action we have to do, right? That hacer is a generic to ask the question. Entonces, so how do I change that out? Tengo que ir al supermercado. Tengo que ir al supermercado. Bien. Tengo que manejar al banco. I have to drive to the bank. Bien. Tengo que comprar comida en Safeway. Tengo que comprar comida. Tengo que preparar el almuerzo. I have to fix lunch because we prepare food, right? We prepare a meal. Tengo que preparar la comida. But it'll never be tengo que preparo. We don't conjugate both verbs. When two verbs go walking together and they're talking about the same activity, they're talking about the same activity, the first verb gets conjugated. That's the tener. And the second verb will just stay as an plain old infinitive. And we do the same thing in English. I have to fix lunch. I have to drive. To drive. To drive is an infinitive. We just use it, right? A word pair in English to say that. Tengo que lavar la ropa. I have to wash the clothes. Tengo que tengo que buscar. I have to buscar. Look for. Tengo que buscar nuevos videos para mis clases. Tengo que buscar videos nuevos videos. ¿Sí? I gotta look for some new videos para mis clases. ¿Sí? Tengo que ver en mi email. I have to see my email. ¿Sí? Tengo que usar Gmail después de mis clases. Bien, so whatever it is that you have to do goes into an infinitive form. And this little word here, que, just has to be there. This again is part of that thing of doesn't translate. Yeah. Tener just needs that word que, and there's no reason for it. To say have to, it has to use that particular verb, tener, must use the word que. It's just the way it is. See? Bien.
Punta?
Sí, dime.
So, in English, we say like I need to a lot. So in Spanish, would they use tener que much more than like say necesitar? Conjugate that.
They'll mix
to
it
do
up just
something.
like we mix it up.
Okay.
So if you want to say need to, necesito, I need, necesito lavar la ropa. I need to wash the clothes. And notice, necesito lavar has the two verbs walking together. They're talking about the same activity. Okay. So first word, the first verb, necesito, gets conjugated. The second verb stays an infinitive. But notice that little word que goes bye-bye. Necesito doesn't need the word que. It just doesn't. There's no reason for me to give you. It just doesn't. Tener always needs that word que. It will sound funny to them if you drop that word que. But yeah, there are different ways of indicating obligation. Necesito lavar la ropa is another way of saying obligation. I need to. Okay. I want to show you one other way of indicating obligation because it's important. Tener que, muy importante. Everybody uses tener que. Everybody uses it, okay? Todo el mundo. Es muy común. It's very common. Will they use necesito lavar, necesito ir al supermercado? Sí, they'll use that too because they mix it up sometimes. Here is another obligation phrase, and actually this is useful to know. Another obligation phrase is hay que, and you'll have an infinitive here. Hay que, hay que, hay que. Hay que is like saying one must. You say, who cares? Well, here's why. Hay que is a less personalized for it. Hay que is always hay que. It never becomes a nosotros thing. It never becomes a yo thing. Hay que refers to any old Tom, Dick, or Harry. So if you don't want to be direct, if you want to just say everybody has to do this, hay que is a good choice. Okay. Hay que does not put the responsibility on any one human being. It just means everybody in general. Hay que tener cuidado con las serpientes. One must be careful. We don't say one must. That sounds highfalutin. No, yeah. You know what it means. One must be careful. But we don't generally, in a conversational tone, say one must do this because it sounds kind of like, you're taking a cup of tea with your pinky out here. Yeah. So what do we say? You have to. You have to. And it doesn't mean you, that one person. It means you as in the general you. Hay que llegar a las 8. You have to get here at 8. Hay que llegar a las 8. Hay que prestar atención. You have to pay attention. Hay que prestar atención. Hay que escuchar. Hay que escuchar. You got to listen. But this hay que doesn't put responsibility on any one person because it's not conjugated for yo or tú or nosotros. Okay? Vale? See? So it's a little more, in a sense, a soft pedal kind of way of indicating obligation. Okay? if the boss walks in up to an employee and says, "Tienes que llegar a las 8." He's saying, "Hey, you, that one you person, the one I'm looking at, you got to get here at 8." It is putting a burden on you. I am tagging you because you don't get here at 8. Tienes que llegar a las 8. You have to do this. But hay que llegar a las 8 means everybody got to get here. And I'm not being personal about it. Tienes que is being kind of specific and a little bit demanding even, maybe, yeah, but okay. Entienden? Get the difference? See, there are different ways of indicating obligation, but it's a good thing to know. Okay, tener que. Does tener que make more sense now? See? See? Bien? Okay, vale. But we use it all the time. We do. Okay. I think we're only going to get to this. Wow, we didn't get to 2 topics. That's okay. Here we go. Oh, muy importante, muy importante. And I'm going to send you off into groups for all these. Cuando tengo hambre, and you're just going to finish the sentence. Cuando tengo hambre, when I'm hungry, and whatever you want to add on. Okay, bien? So you're not answering a question, you're just finishing up a question. Cuando tengo hambre, when I have hunger. Now, I'm going to tell you that hambre is a feminine noun. It means hunger, not really hungry. It means hunger. I have hunger, just the way they say it. So if hambre is a feminine word, how would I intensify it and say really hungry?
Mucha.
Mucha.
It'll
Mucha.
have to be mucha. Yeah, it won't be tengo mucho hambre. Tengo but mucha, because that's a feminine. So just para que sepan, so that you know. Cuando tengo mucha hambre, yeah, that's the very word. The mucha is very. So cuando tengo mucha hambre, when I'm really hungry, boom, 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 boom. No tiene sentido. In Spanish, something has sense. It does not make sense. It has sense. That's the way they phrase it. Boom, 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 no tiene sentido. Something doesn't make sense. Siempre cree que tiene razón. You're going to talk about somebody. Somebody always thinks they're right. Siempre cree que tiene razón. Tiene razón is to be right, to be correct, right? Durante un fin de semana tenemos ganas de. On weekends, durante el fin de semana, on the weekend, see, during the weekend, we feel like tenemos ganas de, and we're going to need an infinitive after this. Tenemos ganas de ir al parque. Tenemos ganas de ver una película interesante. Tenemos ganas de comer con nuestros amigos. Eat with our friends, okay? It'll be an infinitive after that. All right. And I'll send you off into your groups. You'll see all those questions when you get out. Bien. Vale. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Aquí. And we'll take this a little bit longer, but that's okay because we're coming up to our 11 o'clock. I just want to get any little questions answered before we leave, and we'll pick this up next week and finish off the last bit. Esperando, esperando, we're still waiting. Todavía esperando a los otros. We've got a couple people finishing up. When I bring you out of breakout rooms, it lets you get out right away or take one more minute or lo que sea, whatever it may be.
Bye.
Okay.
She's bringing us back fast.
Bien, bien. Vale. Bueno. I want to take our last few minutes to see what kind of questions you might have had about these. And I'm sorry we got a little bit short on this one, but we're coming up to the 11 o'clock hour. I know some people may have to leave like right away. So, muy bien. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question you had on how to work with any of these?
Can I ask a question on the
Sí.
first number 10? No, number 9. Cuando tengo mucha hambre, I say I eat. Yo como?
¿Cómo?
¿Cómo?
Or put the yo in there or not?
No.
No.
Okay.
Drop the yo. We already know you're talking about yo because you've used this word. Now you see why, yeah?
Yeah.
It sounds repetitive to them.
Sí.
Okay. Cuando
Gracias.
tengo mucha hambre, como, boom, boom, boom. Como una pizza, como un sándwich, como huevos y tocino, como, yeah, ¿sí? Eso. Como
Marilyn,
una ensalada. Sí.
I'm sorry. Marilyn, on number 10, how would you say I don't make sense?
I don't make sense?
Mhm.
No tengo sentido.
So I says no tango. Okay.
No tengo sentido.
Okay.
Sentido means technically meaning.
Okay.
No tiene sentido means it has no meaning. And what they really mean with that idea is it makes no sense. And if you don't understand something, sometimes it's a helpful thing to note. No tiene sentido. That doesn't make any sense. Or you don't understand the direction somebody gave you. No tiene sentido.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No tiene
Okay.
sentido.
If I don't
Okay.
make any sense, it's no tango sentido.
No tengo sentido. Sí.
Okay.
Sí.
I mean,
Eso.
a veces, you can say a veces or
Sí.
A veces, sí.
Estoy muy cansada. Estoy cansadísima. Estoy agotada. I am wiped out. No tengo sentido. I'm not making any sense because I'm so tired. Eso así. Okay. Bien. Vale. Bueno, a ver. And again, this one thing I want to point out before we leave, this tener ganas de is kind of strong. It means feel like, but ganas is like an intense desire deep within you. Yeah. Tengo ganas de means you really want to do something. Yeah. Okay. Vale. Any question? We're going to finish up the last set of these next week.
Okay.
So the carryover here, these are going to, this is where we will start off next week. Bien. We're getting a little bit cut off with time. So any other questions you had about this, feel free to come and ask any questions about this next week. And we'll do that. I want you to notice this week, I want you to watch this again. And I want you to watch for this little word. How many times it pops up? What is that little word? That little word is lo. Okay, lo. We're going to talk a little bit next week. After we're done with finishing up our tener idioms, we're going to talk about lo. And why is lo important? And lo can be used a few different ways. Para que sepan. Yo lo conozco, yo lo conozco, yo lo conozco. I know it. Lo, in many cases, means it. Sometimes lo will mean it pertaining to a specific thing. Sometimes lo will mean it in a super generic way. I'll show you how, and I'm going to bring some props next week to show you. But we're going to talk about not just lo, but also the word la, also the word los, also the word las. How we say it or them, how we say it or them.
Okay.
Lo and la can also mean him or her. So what we're going to talk about next week, we're going to start talking about is direct object. Okay, all that means is, here are the words we're going to talk about next week. Me, te, meaning you, nos, yeah, and then a combination of lo, la. Lo, la can mean him or her. Lo, la can mean it. Because when we talk about a thing, we have to refer to it by its gender. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then los or las, which can mean them or them people or them objects. Yeah. Direct objects, these words me, te, nos, lo, la, los, las are just direct objects. And what they mean is they're shortcuts, words that refer to items that are receiving the action. Receiving the, not doing the action, but receiving the action. So I'm going to bring some props next week to illustrate that. And the difficulty with these little words, mete, nos, lo, la, los, las, is not really so much what their forms are. The difficulty is where they go. Because in English, we use it after a verb, but in Spanish, they're going to often, not 100%, but often come before the verb. So in other words, you have to think kind of in reverse to use them. So we'll show how that works next week. But rewatch this video, no lo conozco, and the lo is talking about it. It's talking about the drink. Oh, it's talking about the drink, the liquid in the glass. And she's going to use that. We're going to see that word lo pop up. I don't think she uses la. You may see the word me. Tengo que venderme los ojos. I have to cover up my own eyes. Yeah. Cover up my eyes, and I'm receiving that action of blindfolding. So watch that again and notice they talk in a lot of fragments in this video. That's okay, because we do that a lot. So watch it for those little words, and you'll get a fun listening video, but it's going to be a very general video just for listening comprehension, just to follow the general idea of a story. There won't be any point to let's look at grammar with this video. It's just going to be listen to understand the general idea, but re-listen to the drink thing and watch those little words me and the little word lo. Bien?
Okay.
Vale. Y voy a
Gracias.
ilustrar. I will illustrate them, and then we'll have you use them a little bit next week, la semana que viene. Bien?
Okay, Ben.
Bien.
Ben.
Gracias.
Okay. Vale, perfecto. Y nos
luego.
vemos la semana que viene. Next week is already Thanksgiving week. Wow. No estoy preparada. No estoy preparada para nada. No. Tengo el pavo. El pavo está en el congelador. That turkey is in the freezer. Y tengo que sacar el pavo. We'll use our pavo as one of our props. Es buena oportunidad. Es buena oportunidad. The good opportunity to use my turkey and thought at the same time. Ok,
Ok.
fantástico.
Hasta luego.
Adiós.
Sí, hasta luego.